the company that made Basecamp, 37 Signals, they have a document that they talk about, or a methodology actually called Shape Up. It's a free PDF. You can look it up online. I highly recommend, if you're a non-technical founder, read through it, get an idea of what that shape up process looks like, because it is a way for people who are largely non-technical to be able to rough out and shape what a feature or a product should look like without having to specify these really high level details that you want to leave to your designers and your developers. You don't actually want to make, you might think that you want to make these decisions, but you don't understand all the options that are available to you, right? So if I have somebody come in and I want them to renovate some part of my house, I have high level goals that I want to hit. You know, I want this to be more usable. I want to get rid of this color that I don't like. I don't like this door here. That's great. And those are the problems that they should be solving for. But when it comes to things like, what technique are you going to use to apply this trim, or, there's a lot of things that you want to leave to the experts to decide within some sort of boundary, right? You don't want to just let them do whatever they want, because maybe they'll use a really expensive tile that you didn't want to use, or maybe they'll use whatever. The same thing here. You want to be able to set these boundaries without trying to dictate to the professionals. Let them use their expertise to guide your project. Tell them where you're willing to make these trade-offs. And I think so in the second call, if it's really the shaping process, it's the process of, okay, so what does it look like if we try to bite off a chunk of this large project, this large feature? What does that look like? Do we start with a little bit of design? Maybe we just start building the code out and then we come back and design it later. It's a project by project thing that you have to figure out. But that's how I would approach that second call.
That's a great point. It reminds me of when I used to get haircuts and I had hair, believe it or not. I previously would go to different barbers and ask them like, hey, I kind of like it this style. I'll trust your judgment. And most of the time I would get frustrated. And I'm not a barber, obviously, but I think it's a great example of someone who, when you're approaching someone else in their expertise, same with the software developer, like you can still show them what good looks like, and articulating what you want, and also some examples of what you like. So that if you have something adjacent, you can prescribe of like, hey, I'm kind of thinking I really like this UI, and here's some reasons why. Then that at least will allow you guys to meet in the middle of, okay, you're talking about, something tangible that you feel and touch that you can express. And then that can be translated into code later on to where, eventually I learned as I was getting my haircut, like I don't have to give them exact specifications to how to cut my hair. I just need to tell them like, hey man, I really like a bald fade. Ironic enough. I like kind of the pompadour look, and do a hard part. But I'll leave it up to you. And at least that was enough of a general direction of set the foundation of the things that I like and that I'm really moving towards, and allow that person to use their expertise to overachieve on the result of all the other details of which I don't need to know about, like, fading and making like a bald fade blend into hair eventually, and how different hair parts and waves, because I had wavy hair. So like, but that's up to him, and I don't need to sit over his shoulder, even though it's my hair, to tell him exactly what to do, right? I just need to show him what good looks like. And I think the same thing for you. If you can at least in the conversation show the idea for what it is and what the ultimate result is, and then show them what good looks like to you, then that's a really good way to meet them halfway in the middle.
Yeah. And I will say not every agency can do this. Not every agency will do this. There are some people that they're like, nope, we use our templates. Our templates look like what they look like. And that's okay. That just means that they're not the agency for you if you're in this situation. I will also call out, not everybody needs everything to be custom, right? If it knocks 10 grand off your budget to have them use their pre-made templates, that's great. You've got delivered code at the end of the day that does what you want it to do. And if you really want to beautify it up later, that's a second project. You take a second pass on it later once you've proven out that it's solving the problems that you wanted it to solve, right? So I do think that the second call is whenever you start getting into there are no one size fits all agencies. We try to be a little bit more one size fits all because we try to kind of adapt. But there are certain things that, like, if a client came to us and they said, no, we're definitely doing this thing this way, we might say, hey, you know what? Like, it's just not a good fit for us. And we can help you find somebody that would be a better fit for you. But like, we just don't. So that's one of my full stop. Like, if I have a contractor, anybody that I'm working with, if I just have this gut feeling that they're not listening, I address it immediately. And if they can't fix that and make me feel like I'm being heard, you're out. And I'm going to find somebody else who can communicate.
Yeah. I think another question that I just thought of that would be helpful within that vein would be not only talk about the mission, what does good look like, what are you trying to accomplish, but I think non-technical founders also need to challenge themselves to have this question articulated before going into the conversation, but definitely need to articulate to the software developer is, what does minimum success look like?